Hello there everyone, and welcome to another uxwbill product review video. TopTes Tools recently reached out to me again and asked if I'd be willing to review their latest flammable and explosive gas leak detector. As always, although the tool was provided free of charge, my review will be completely honest and highlight what is good, bad, or could stand to be improved with regard to the product. Anything else would be clearly marked as a sponsored video. I generally don't make those kinds of videos, and I will not edit out any problems that I might encounter with a product that's being reviewed, unless of course they are a result of my fault or misunderstanding with regard to how the product is intended to operate. Now, for those of you who have been here for a while, as well as some of you who've probably just happened across the previous product review video by chance, you'll know that TopTes Tools asked me a couple months ago to review their model PT520A gas leak detector. And at the time, my review was generally positive. I did notice a small problem with the product, but overall, it did exactly what it was specified to do, and most definitely at a very reasonable price point. Now, at the time this video went into production, the PT520A that they've asked me to review for you today may not actually quite be available for sale yet. At least it wasn't when this video first went into production. However, by the time you're watching it, it may be available for purchase, and if you are interested in purchasing it, there will be a link to an Amazon store where you can do so. I'm hoping that during the course of this video that the neighbors will keep the noise down. It's a very nice day out. We're starting to come into spring here in the northern hemisphere of the world. And as such, people are outside doing things. The world is waking up from its wintry slumber. Unfortunately, it's also windy outside, so you may hear some of those noises as well. Now, I have to be honest with you, I am kind of tired and thus not really in the frame of mind to make a product review, but the folks at TopTes Tools would like me to get this finished, and I promised them that I would. So I'm going to try to do that here on this Sunday afternoon as I put things together. So let's go ahead and get started. Get the product down here where you can see it. By the way, the audio from this video is in stereo, as it was recorded with a stereo microphone, and I'd really appreciate if you wouldn't complain about that. Please adjust your audio equipment accordingly so that you can enjoy the audio track in whatever way is most suitable for the audio equipment that you happen to be listening on. Here's the box that the product comes in. There's a picture on the front along with the TopTes brand name, a description of what it is, and the model number. And right away you can see that this is a good deal larger than the previous but still available for sale PT520A model. I'll go ahead and turn the box around, and if you want to read any of the print on it, I'll try to get it centered a little better in the frame there for you. You can pause the video and do that. I'll actually try to zoom in here so that maybe that'll be a little easier for you. And then we'll take a look at the back side of the box. We'll zoom out so you can see that. Take a look at the other side here, trying to make sure that it's not upside down. And then let's go ahead and open it up. Now, it does appear that there are two color choices available. The one they sent me is the orange model, although I wouldn't have minded a lovely green one. So the first thing we get as soon as we open the box is a nice, somewhat hard-shelled carrying case. It has a little lanyard on the side that you could use to carry it or even fasten it by means of a carabiner or similar to a tool bucket or backpack if you have something like that you'd like to use. Open it up. There's the tester. There's the user's manual. Also included but not shown because I already installed them are again a set of 3 Duracell AAA batteries. Now, this tester differs noticeably from the previous model because not only is it larger, but the sensor is also on a flexible stalk and has a metal tip. This, of course, could be very useful if you're looking for a gas leak in a location that maybe you don't want to get terribly close to in case something would go wrong, maybe a flare-up or, heaven forbid, an explosion, something along those lines. Now, some gases that you can use this leak detector to find include acetone, acetylene, alcohol, ammonia, benzene, butane, ethanol, gasoline, hydrogen, methane, natural gas, propane, and of course flammable refrigerants such as refrigerant 32, refrigerant 600, and refrigerant 290. The latter, of course, are simply isobutane and propane. Now, my testing methodology for this particular gas leak detector will be identical to that of the PT210 that they sent previously. That is to say, I will be putting it up against the Klein Tools leak detector that I have, as well as an Inficon gas mate. And of course, since the PT210 from the previous review still happens to be here, we'll go ahead and bring it out too. Now, as with any gas leak detector, you have to be sure to do two things when you first go to turn it on. It needs to warm up for 30 seconds because the sensor is actually heated, and the warm-up must take place in an area that you reasonably believe is free of the explosive or flammable gas that you are trying to detect. If you start the sensor up in an area where there's already a concentration of explosive gas, it may not be detected and it could put you in danger. And that's true of any flammable or explosive gas detector that I'm aware of. There are, of course, more buttons on this gas leak detector than there were on the simpler PT210. We'll go ahead and zoom in here. So again, you can have a look at them. The screen is larger. It's a multicolor display. And as for the buttons, the first three along the top govern the sensitivity of the tester. The low setting detects gases in concentrations greater than 700 parts per million. Medium shifts the sensitivity up to a minimum of 400 parts per million, and high jumps up to any concentration of explosive or flammable gas greater than 50 parts per million. The detection range is indicated as being between 50 and 10,000 parts per million. The other two buttons on the tester govern whether or not an automatic power-off timer of approximately 10 minutes is enabled. If you know that you're going to be spending a long time looking for an explosive or flammable gas leak, you might want to shut off the automatic power-off timer. You can also press a button to silence the alarm if you need to do so. And then, of course, the big red button at the bottom is, as you'd expect, the power button, and it really doesn't need any explanation. Our first test will involve the use of butane gas. Now, TopTes Tools mentions in the user's manual for the PT520A detector that butane gas or stove gas can be used as a suitable means to ensure that the sensing element is still in working condition. And I have to be completely honest with you and say that I'm a little bit surprised that passage is still in the manual. When I tested the previous PT210A model detector, I noticed that it lost sensitivity after I exposed it to the butane gas. I went to TopTes Tools with my concerns, and they got back to me stating that yes, butane gas would in fact disable the sensor. So I'm a little bit surprised that passage is still in the manual, and I would urge caution. If you are searching for butane gas, be sure to give the sensing element time to recover and resume normal functionality. Otherwise, you could end up in a very dangerous situation. Now, as previously mentioned, all these detectors use sensing elements that have to warm up. So we'll go ahead and switch them on here, starting with the PT520, moving to the PT210, then the Klein Tools, which the last time I tried this actually had a dead battery, and finally the Inficon gas mate. This first test will be run with all of the sensors set to their highest level of sensitivity. And just so you won't have to listen to that horrible screeching din as the Inficon sensor warms up, we'll be right back thanks to the magic of video editing. Every tester is warmed up and ready to go. So here we go, courtesy of a Weller Portasol butane soldering iron. This will actually be set to its lowest possible gas output level. And I'll just go ahead, place it in front of all the sensors here. You'll notice I've tried to get them as close together as possible so that no particular contestant has an unfair advantage over the others. And now, we'll start the flow of gas. The Klein tools and the Infocon are the first to pick it up. Now the PT520A is picking up on it and has gone into full alarm, as you can see. And finally, the PT210 picks up on the presence of the butane gas. Go ahead and turn it off and just see how long it takes everyone to clear their sensor and go back to an idle state. The next test that we'll run for those detectors that support it, I will place them all on their lowest level of sensitivity and rerun the check. The Infocon and the PT520 are slowly calming down. It appears that the PT210 has as well. And the Klein tools just kind of goes on and on and on in the proud tradition of most uxwbill videos. So the Klein tools is the only one left in an alarm state right now. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to sit and let the video run until it decides to zero itself out. I will, however, with regard to the previous note about the butane gas, try to clear these sensors of any detected gas so that they will again be in a functional state, because the gas molecules can actually adhere themselves to the sensor as they flow through the air. All of the detectors are now in their lowest sensitivity mode. So here again, I will place the soldering iron near to them so they can hopefully pick up the gas, and then I'll go ahead and turn it on, and we'll just see how long it takes everyone to pick up on it. Now we'll take the source of gas away and shut it off, and we'll just wait for everybody to zero out again. While we're waiting on that, I actually wanted to touch on the type of sensor that I believe TopTes is using in their detector. In the case of both the PT210 and the PT520, I believe it's the same detector, specifically the model MP-4 nature gas sensor / combustible gas sensor from Winsen Electronics. Now, I bring this up because although TopTes does not presently sell a replacement detection element for their product, there is definitely no reason why they could not. I'll go ahead and turn these both off. I'll shut these off too. And then I will show you an interesting fact with regard to both of these detectors. And that is to say that the end of the sensing wand actually unscrews to reveal the sensor. We'll try to give the camera something to focus on so that you can see it more clearly. This sensor is actually socketed, and so it could be replaced. Now, if you purchase either one of these TopTes models and you decide to examine the sensor yourself, I would again urge a great deal of caution, because if you damage anything in the process, you could render the detector inoperable. And again, it would not be there to warn you of a potentially hazardous situation. So here is the PT210's sensor. I did not find a model number on it, at least not anywhere that I could see. But again, it is socketed and it can be removed. You can also view the data sheet for that sensor online if you'd like to do so. It is on Winsen's website. And their data sheet also notes that butane will have an adverse effect on the sensor. So now you've seen all the detectors. let's go ahead and find some other gas leaks and see how they do. But wait, there's more! I forgot that I was going to do a test with regard to the mid-range sensitivity level for those testers that actually happen to have one, which whittles the competition down to the Inficon GasMate and the TopTes PT520A. So I've set both of them at their medium sensitivity range, and here again with the butane gas, we'll see how long it takes them both to detect it. Place the soldering iron right there in front of the sensors, click on the gas supply, sit back and watch the fireworks. Hopefully not literally. Okay, they both alarmed pretty quickly. So we'll take the gas away and shut it off. And we'll see how long it takes each detector to clear. Now let's go ahead and see if we can detect some of those other gases that they mentioned in the owner's manual for this TopTes PT520A. Hopefully before everyone listening via headphones in the viewing audience has passed away from some sort of sonic shockwave related trauma or another, I will take a moment and apologize for the wind noise, but as it happens, I'm recording video outdoors and you just have to work with what you're going to get. Now, it's my understanding that of all the leak detectors I have to test, that the PT520A product is likely the only one that is officially specified to detect gasoline or gasoline vapors. That said, we'll certainly be trying all the others, but again, a word of caution, you are responsible for the results of your own actions, and if you use a gas leak detector in a way that's not officially prescribed to detect the presence of a gas that the manufacturer doesn't support, you could poison or disable the sensor and expose yourself to a hazard. So on your own head be it. There we go. We'll undo the fuel cap. And we'll get the PT520 out here, which is presently on its highest sensitivity level. And we'll just put it near to the filler neck on the truck. And it is certainly detecting the presence of the gasoline. But you may notice a bit of a problem here. The display has almost completely washed out in the sunlight, so the only thing we have to work with are the audio cues. And again, I would say that is a little bit of a setback, not a crippling flaw, but a flaw nevertheless. It is one that is not shared by the PT210 detector, which we'll try next. And it is certainly detecting something. We can see that on its little display, just as clear as the day. Now let's go ahead and try the Inficon and the Klein to see how they fare. Both of these are on their high sensitivity setting as well. Just put it near the filler neck. And the Klein Tools has gone off like a house afire. Again, that's probably a terrible choice of analogy. Now we'll try the Inficon GasMate. And it alarmed straight away. I decided to actually throw in a bonus round. Here we're looking at the old Ranger Danger pickup truck with some really stale and nasty gasoline in its tank. I assume that it has probably lost quite a lot of its volatility. I would also say there's a non-zero chance of there being a substantial quantity of soon-to-be angry wasps in here. But is that going to put me off? No, it definitely is not. Oh, that just broke off. Well, let's go ahead and try the TopTes PT520A. And it has gone off. So evidently that gasoline is still good for something. Here's the PT210. And it actually turned red. Now we'll try the Klein Tools. It is in full alarm. And finally we'll close things out with the Inficon gas mate, which again went off almost instantaneously. I had absolutely no luck outside at the vent on the gas meter's regulator in my search for a small natural gas leak with which to test. So now I've moved indoors and we're looking inside my parents' furnace at the gas valve right now. It should go without saying, never ever tinker with any of the internal workings of your furnace unless you are knowledgeable and equipped to safely do so. You could cause a lot of problems, damage your house, or even lose your life. If you go against my warning, you are responsible for all of the results. Let's see what we can find here at this little tiny vent on the side of the gas valve. And the PT520A has gone ahead and alarmed. We'll do the test with the PT210. It too just alarmed. Now the Klein tools. It went ahead and alarmed. And finally, our last comparison, the Inficon gas mate. And now it's time for our penultimate flammable or explosive gas, that being propane. We have here a simple stove burner. I'm going to turn this on, hopefully quick enough that it doesn't actually light. And sure enough, everybody has gone off, including the PT520A. Here's the final explosive and flammable gas leak detection test. All the detectors are set to maximum sensitivity, ready to do their thing. And here I have my little acetylene torch head. I'll just go ahead and set this down near to the sensors, turn it on, and rather curiously, for some reason, the PT210 didn't go off. I guess it just didn't get a whiff of it because I gave it a little sniff there, and that did in fact trip it off. After all of those exercises with leak detectors, all those different types of flammable and explosive gases tested, it's time for the bottom line. Would I recommend this leak detector, the TopTes PT520A? Yes, I think I would. It seems like pretty decent value for money, especially if you're aware of the few limitations that it has. I would like to see TopTes work on two things in future models or revisions of this product. Number one, I'd like to see them update the documentation to include a cautionary note about butane temporarily disabling the sensor, especially since they are aware of that issue. And I would also like to see the display on this product improved so that it's more easily legible in sunlight. Thus concludes my review of the TopTes Tools Combustible Gas Leak Detector Model PT520A. I'd like to thank them for providing this opportunity to again review their products. I'm certainly interested in hearing what not only they, but also you out in the YouTube viewing public land have to say about this video. So as always, if you have a constructive comment, by all means, certainly do feel free to post one. And now, a sneak peek into the future. Just a little tiny bit. I don't know if there is any business relationship between the two companies, but I do know that both TopTes and Tesmen have been in communication with one another, as one of them contacted me and mentioned my previous interactions with TopTes. So my next product review will feature this. A little smart digital multimeter. It's the Tesmen model PT520A-510. So if that would interest you, by all means, feel free to stay tuned for that video. Hopefully I'll have that done in the near future. The nice folks at Tesmen haven't pestered me about it yet, but I will try to get that done in a timely fashion because they acted in good faith to send me this meter, and I certainly want to hold up my end of the bargain.